And we're live. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode where we talk to you about everything crazy going on in this market and why you've already missed out or you're being dumb, or we're just going to tell you what's wrong with you, basically. It's almost like a therapy session, but like you just want to kill yourself by the end of it. But of course, before you decide to do that, we really need you to engage with this video. So make sure you leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe. And we're going to talk about all things going on in the Pokemon hobby. And of course, if you want to talk to Alex or you want to engage with him before you kill yourself also, make sure to check his link out down in the description below. What are your thoughts, Alex? Where should we begin with this?
Dude, I think we're going to start being less worried about price point here soon and more worried about just being able to find things.
Dude, that's what I'm saying, man.
Dude, there are certain products and sets out there right now that are getting so scarce that depending on which day or what time of day you look, depending on what kind of sales volume happened, there may not be any available. I remember looking for the last couple of days, I've been keeping an eye on things. At one point, during the last couple of days, like there was like no Shrouded Fable ETB cases available on eBay or TCG Player. Zero. Like you couldn't buy one if you had the money. Like Paldean Fates booster bundle displays. At one point, there was just none available. Like they were zeroed out now. And then until people started listing them again at higher prices. I mean, this happens like every so often, but like there's a lot of things that are like when you get to like some of these higher end cases, especially when you go back to Sun and Moon XY, some of these higher end boxes, some of these higher end ETBs now. There are times when there's just none in the market. Obviously, we've always seen this with vintage back in the day. There's always been times when there's certain vintage cards, certain vintage stuff not there. We're starting to see it in modern. That's especially for products that are still in print. That's scary.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of these things where Pokemon is just obviously like they're not addressing the demand right now. Product is just it's just there's not enough. I mean, everything in the Scarlet and Violet era is just continuing to climb. I mean, Obsidian Flames, sorry, going to 300. I mean, you probably saw Paldea. It's over 4. Like product in this specific era, and these are obviously not going to get reprinted, but technically speaking, cards still in rotation. So like the fact that we're seeing these big of moves right now is just kind of indicative of the fact that like supply just can't be kept on the shelf.
Yeah, I mean, the friend I work with, we were actually just talking before stream, but like when he made a play on the Gengar VMAX card, not the alt art, the full art version. Back when it was like under $100 a PSA 10, he was buying those, and he was just showing it to me before a stream, and they were like going for like over $300.
Oh my gosh!
Like a 3x on a regular full art, and full arts are not even that rare. And it's
You're
just
talking
like
about the VMAX,
the regular VMAX.
Wow,
not the alt art. And I'm just like, you know, you're seeing things like that happen across the market where even like some of the less rare cards are even becoming so scarce because there is just so much demand for everything. It's the high end, it's the low end, it's everything in between. It's booster boxes, it's ancillary items, it's PSA 10 cards, it's raw cards. And then on top of it, you have people trying to make plays. Obviously, there's buyouts happening. Obviously, there's just investors, you know, loading up on certain things they believe in. And you just have all this happening together. And at the same time, nobody wants to sell. Things will double in price and people will say, I don't want to sell it. I want to hold. I think it's going to keep going. Like the level of confidence is making the market so scarce that it's just becoming very hard to find product.
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely in a state right now of euphoria in this market where people are just like, if I don't buy now, then it's just going to go up tomorrow. And so I have to buy, and there's no point of ever selling, or or what you see a lot of times, at least in like my local card shop that I own, is people will come in and it's like, I really don't want to like make this big purchase right now. I want to kind of wait a little bit, but I know that if I don't make it now, then like it could go up a couple $100 within another, week or so. So it's like there is this stage of like people, not investors here, just casual everyday individuals that want to go purchase product outside of big box retailers because they don't want to have to fight obviously people off and deal with the scarcity and trying to hope that the drops happen at a time in which they can actually find the product on the shelves. And so they go to other stores that are obviously going more off of market and are more likely to have product in stock. And they're saying, hey, I don't want to have to deal with all of that other nonsense. And so I'm just going to buy from here. But also, I know that if I don't buy like now, then I'm risking prices continuing to climb.
And by the way, it's more than ever, I'm starting to really err on the side of it's Pokemon's fault. Pokemon is doing so many things that is making the market worse than it should be. One of the things is they're releasing products in certain like different markets and not in others. The booster bundle displays, right? They released bundle displays of things like Shrouded Fable and Prismatic Evolutions in UK, the 10 count displays. But then here we get 25 count cases, or we get those big square bundles in 20 count cases. And so it makes the displays, which are the most sought after item, even more inflated because they're not produced in both markets and they're much more harder to get your hands on, creating more of a chase, right? And they're, like 151, they made bundle display cases, master cases. They made 25 count cases, right? They make all these different products, and it causes like a different chase for every single one. Whereas if they just had like a more cohesive, like, same product line over all markets, didn't have so many different product lines, and they really focused on printing just a few product lines a lot, it would create less of this kind of like competition for all these different like, products that are seen as more scarce, because you'd have more of them. And so I think Pokemon's as much to blame as everyone else, because they're honestly making it possible to be able to kind of buy up the scarcity.
Yeah, there definitely needs to be. I mean, we're going into September now, right? Other than the prismatic reprint that we had, I don't know, probably back, I want to say in May at this point, that was a decent size. It wasn't a small reprint by any means, but it wasn't like insanely large. There hasn't been any sort of major reprints that we've realistically seen come out yet for anything. Like we had, some obvious ETB stuff come out with Twilight Masquerade, and we're still waiting on the Surging. And so far, like the Twilight stuff, I think from what I've gotten so far from my distros, we got around 20 cases. I still have another distro that's supposed to give me more, so that's not a lot.
Dude, 20 cases for a store your size. What did you do last month and spend in your program?
I will say it was a slower month. We only did about 600,000.
Guys, let me explain this to you. $600,000 in spend in a month. Okay, slower month. Multiply that by 12 months. 720 grand. Slower month. So Eli's saying he spends roughly 800,000 to $1 million a year, basically. Okay, that is a very large, or sorry,
a month.
Sorry, 800,000 to $1 million a month on average. So you're talking 10 million plus a year. Okay, that is an enormously large sale or store sales. Meaning, for someone that size to get 20 cases, that's like the equivalent of a regular card shop getting a few ETBs.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what my last distro allocates me, because they're the ones that, typically give me the most, but also at the same time, based off of what I've gotten from my other distros, I'm not expecting more than like 10 to 15 cases at best, which is still not a crazy amount. So right now it's not looking like anything crazy.
Dude, 10 cases, that's 180 packs. 20 cases is 180 packs.
Yeah, it is. It's not a lot. And I mean, if you're watching the price, I will say, obviously, like this is making a difference. Like the ETBs were going for 100 and now they're going for 70. So there has been a 30% correction, but also at the same time, like, let's not forget here, like this is ETBs, it's not booster boxes.
Yeah.
This item moves in a lot different of a manner than the booster boxes do. So it's one of these things where, we could say, oh, look, it's dropped 30%. Now might be not a bad time to buy. But honestly, unless this item goes down to like $50, I'm not picking it up. Like it doesn't really change the outlook for me on what I'm going to do with it.
I'll just, hey, I'm going to throw this out there publicly. I've said it in another video, but I'm going to look like a genius or the biggest imbecile in the world when it comes to prismatic evolutions. That's basically the number one item I've been picking up. I picked up tons of ETB cases recently. I'm making deals for hundreds of bundles, and I am just stacking tons and tons of prismatic evolutions right now when nobody wants it and everyone's getting drops and wanting to flip it immediately and make their quick tendies. And hey, I'll be the guy that gets scalped. I will get scalped from the botters and from the scalpers, and they'll make their money. And but I truly think this is gonna be one of those things where all of a sudden you're gonna blink and you're not gonna be able to find it anymore.
I mean, that makes sense to me. I mean, if it follows anything like 151, which in my personal opinion, it'll probably do better than that in the long term.
Prismatic will be my largest position.
Yeah.
When everything's said and done, it's already climbing up right now. It's going to be my largest position by far.
Yeah, it just feels so obvious. Like it's one of those ones where you're like, yeah, you're going to have to sit on it for a little bit longer than you would like. Yeah, you're obviously buying it right now at, $100 in ETB on the, third-party websites. Probably could get them for cheaper off market for like 90. But at the end of it all, like wait a couple years, see what happens. And I'd be surprised if you weren't up.
I mean, I'm looking at TCG Player right now, dude. They're already back to 107 in ETB. I mean, that's crazy. Like people were calling for these to drop to MSRP when the Costco and Sam's Club drops happened. For them to have held up at $100 and maybe barely dipped under it for maybe a few days a week, it's incredible. The strength of that is like, if you don't think that's indicative of how the set's going to perform long term, you're honestly sadly mistaken. Like 151 was released in a different market, but even 151 dropped to very low. The UPCs, the ETBs, they were low. They didn't hold up that well at release. Again, different market, but Prismatic's a different animal.
Yeah. I don't know who would think that the product itself would drop down to MSRP. That seems very unlikely.
Yeah. So
I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but that just seems a little weird. But
there's that. I haven't like researched tons of PSA cards at this point. I've researched a lot of the alt arts. The fact that most every alt art at this point is less than 1% of the total population on the market. The Umbreon VMAX right now, the Moonbreon, it's got like less than 75 on the market right now of PSA 10s, and it's got over 18,000 graded. So you're talking about like less than like a 0.4%, like not a 4%, a 0.4. So not even a 0.4% of the population is actually on the market being traded right now. And like I explained this in my live earlier I had, but it's the equivalent of like a company going public and there's a certain amount of like advisory shares or like preferred shares that never get traded, right? They're not a part of the float or whatever. So they're all like off the market in like the original private, angel investors' hands. And only a certain amount of the shares actually get put in the public, trading. That's kind of like what it's becoming is so many of these cards are getting put into collections and vaults that are going to like die with these people that are never going to find their way to the market. And honestly, in the last year that I've been following it, we've never seen more than like 1% or 1.5% of that card actually being traded on the market at one point in time. And so the fact that these are getting that scarce already, and then you go look at like Sun and Moon XY cards, and some of those only have like a few 10s on the market at any given time, it's going to be scary when a card with that high of an actual market cap only has a few on the market that can actually be traded. You'll see exponential growth like you've never seen.
I mean, obviously we've seen the price correction occur for the raw in the Umbreon. Do we think it's worth potentially picking them up and trying to send them in for grading? Do you think it's worth picking up the PSA 10 or waiting, or where's your kind of stance on that card currently?
It always makes sense to pick it up raw if you think it can 10. I mean, I believe it's still like a $1,400-$1,500 card, and it goes for like 3,000 plus now in a 10. So yeah, if you think it's got a chance at a 10, I think that's a gamble worth taking for sure. Buying right now. A lot of the alt arts have ran up a lot. It's crazy to say, but I feel more comfortable in that card than the other ones just because it's so iconic. Just because everyone knows it. I know Gem at Pokemon, and I think was it like Caleb Schwag or not Shavam, one of them, they did a video at a Collecticon where they brought up, I think it was like a trophy Pikachu and then a Moonbryon to like all these kids, and everyone chose a Moonbryon. Like everyone wants that card, no matter what the value of the other cards are. They want that card over the other cards, and I think that's always going to remain true going forward.
I'm more specifically talking about from Prismatic, the Umbreon.
Oh, is that time yet? Okay. I think it's getting close. I think once here's what I'm gonna do. Here you guys, you got my play. Ready, guys? Once this prismatic collection box gets released, the box collection they're putting out. Once that gets released, it gets kind of sold out. The scalpers, the bots work their way through and start pushing the supply out. The pack prices drop and everything kind of settles. I'm gonna be looking at that time to start picking up some of the singles. I think that's when we're going to start seeing them finally hit like their bottoms. Again, you're never going to catch the exact bottom, but I'm going to feel pretty comfortable starting to build positions in some of those singles. Guys, I've opened up more prismatic packs than probably any other set ever, other than probably Evolutions still. I opened boatloads of Evolutions back in the day, but I can tell you those cards are not easy to hit. They're near impossible to hit those evolutions. Look, it's near impossible to hit a regular SIR in Prismatic. Then to hit an evolution, which is one out of whatever, like 30 SIRs, it's so hard to hit the specific card you want. I just cannot see those being anything less than very expensive in the future.
I mean, what are your thoughts about the fact that, like, well, there's two things to consider here, right? So if we're just talking about the card itself on TCG Player, right, it's going for around $800.
Yeah.
The 10 itself over the past 6 months has been holding up strong right around 3,000. So it hasn't moved at all while the raw card has plummeted. And even more so, the 9 is last selling for over $900, which when it comes to modern Pokemon, if you have a card that makes you money in a 9 and doesn't lose you money, like that's very, very rare. So I guess all of this to say is, do we think that, with the price corrections going on in the singles, like loose or non-graded, we think that there's going to be a correction coming soon for the graded at some point because it's not catching up? Or what's going to happen with that? Because like you said, there's going to be more product that's going to be put on the shelf. So it's not like the raw is going to go up anytime soon. And even if it does go up a little bit, it's going to get it's going to get stabilized or continue to go down at some point when that more product hits.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. Like Anonymous, posting in the chat talking about there's a lot of cards at PSA right now that people are waiting to get back to list, which is going to help. Like, so I think that will probably drop it. But again, I just think there's more people holding on to these things than there used to be because we're seeing like a longer track record now with modern cards holding value, even though the pop reports are high. And so yes, a certain amount that are going to come back from PSA when the backlogs start to get better are going to hit the market, which likely will correct it. I think what's holding the PSA 10s up is that the shortage of supply. There's no shortage of raw supply because you can list it right away. With PSA, you got to wait for them to get it back to you. So I think there's a shortage of supply, but I don't know how much it's going to correct. I think it's going to hold somewhat up there pretty high.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be definitely interesting to see what ends up happening with that. I think it'll be something worth like really focusing on, because hypothetically speaking, like if you do see this thing correct, I mean, I'm not going to throw numbers out. I mean, at how far it could correct, especially if more supply hits the market, but it could be a potentially good opportunity to pick up some of that specific card itself. But I don't know.
Yeah, if you're trying to make a play, like if you have risk tolerance and you want to make a play, dude, I think it's a great play to take. If you're someone who wants to like passively invest and not worry about crazy like swings, I still err towards sealed product. But like, yeah, I mean, someone like me and you and like other people that are very active in the hobby and you're watching it every day and you can easily buy and you can easily sell. You have avenues to sell very easily. Dude, I think there's going to be a lot of opportunity in these prismatic singles, especially in the short term.
Yeah, 100%. So I'm curious. I assume you've probably been watching, obviously, the price. I kind of mentioned it briefly of all the Scarlet and Violet era product. I mean, what at this point, just continue to climb, or what? I mean, just think, like, what's the deal here?
Well, before $200 was the floor. Now I think like 235, 240 is now like the floor for the boxes. I think like Journey Together, maybe. I think even Stellar's higher. I think Temporal's higher. Even SV Base, like 235. I think like 235 is like the bottom for the boxes now, and it only goes up from there.
Yeah, 235 is lowest listed for Scarlet and Violet right now, base set.
And then you also have Darkness Ablaze, Vivid Voltage, Battle Styles all moving now too, which is basically means you cannot buy any Pokemon booster box on the entire market in any era for less than $235. That has never been a thing in the history of Pokemon. It's unprecedented. That is, it's never been done.
Yeah, it's wild, man. I mean,
people don't, dude, they don't talk about that. Like, everyone wants to try to compare this to 2021. Guys, in 2021, there were boxes available. The hot sets would come out and they would go sky high, right? Battle Styles would jump to like $200. Shining Fates would jump up. Vivid Voltage jump up. There were other things available. Right now, everything is up. It's totally different.
I mean, at least for me, when I try and make comps to 2021, you can't do one-to-one, but you can still try and look at the historical data and say, what can we learn from this? That's how I go about it. Because ultimately, like, MSRP was different. So it's hard to compare one-to-one just based off of that. We're talking about a pandemic, which obviously caused supply chain issues. That's obviously not what's happening currently, right? But ultimately, at the end of the day, one thing that always stays the same and is never ever going to change, just because it's literally just how life works, is human nature and human tendencies.
Yeah.
Like, people are very predictable. So you always look and say, hey, how did people react when we were put in these situations? And then just try and do our best to obviously use that as indicators on how things could potentially perform.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Mike made a good super chat. Prismatic has only 2732 10s, where Evolving has 18K on the Moonbryon. That is, I mean, yeah, backlog or not, I agree, Mike. Like, it doesn't seem like it's going to get as high as the other one.
Yeah, well, I think an important thing to also look at here is look at the ratios between the 10 versus the 9. In the 9, there's a little over 4,100 versus, obviously, like he was saying, there's 2,700 for the 10. So you're in a era, I guess, or you're in a set specifically where your PSA 10 rate is so much lower compared to the 9, where if you look at the Umbreon,
yeah,
it's the exact opposite. The
Sword and
Umbreon
Shield quality was like good, man.
Which is so funny because I swear to you, from all of Sword and Shield, I feel like there is so much complaining going on about the print quality all the time.
Which is weird, right? Because I feel like Sword and Shield late era has some of the highest 10 rates in the hobby.
It does. I think it was just because, I will say from personal experience, there was many instances where I opened Fusion and there was cards that were just like all to beat up from like the whitening.
Yeah.
So you could get unlucky. You could get unlucky from like your pack just being absolutely scuffed. But if your pack wasn't scuffed, like, you didn't have an issue with centering.
I mean, dude, I think one of the biggest, I don't want to call it a lie, but I think one of the biggest like false hope scenarios happening right now, like it's kind of perpetrated throughout the hobby, is this whole, because I seen it mentioned in the chat by somebody, this whole like in print philosophy. Someone said like, Prismatic is going to be in print for however many more years or whatever. I don't think people really understand what that means. I think they hear in print and they're just like, oh, they're just going to print endless amounts of it till it's worthless. Like, guys, every set in Scarlet Violet right now is in print. Every one of them. Every set. Meaning, Paldea Evolved is in print. Obsidian, in print. Paldea and Fates, in print. Twilight Masquerades, in print. Destined Rivals is in print. Prismatic's in print. And so they use these things like, oh my gosh, I wouldn't buy Prismatic. It's in print for X. It's like, what do you think that means? That like every month they just print more for the next 2-3 years? Like, no. They'll go through cycles where they print it. They'll go through cycles where they don't. Maybe they throw another reprint out in 8 months. Maybe another one comes out like in a year. But like they have other things to print. And they can't print enough of it to constantly correct the price enough, because every time they reprint it, it's usually less than the time before. And there's more people as it ages picking it up more and more and more because they know it's getting to the end of its life cycle and they want to have their positions. And so, and it's still the most open set in the hobby. And so like, I said the same thing like Shrouded Fable in my video yesterday. It's like Shrouded Fable. The same thing happened with Dragon Majesty. It was in print, but nobody was buying it, so they didn't print it. And so it never got reprinted. And now it's one of the most expensive specialty set ETBs in the hobby. And so this idea, guys, that things are in print does not mean they actively print every set all the time until they go out of print. Like, be very careful with that.
Yeah, I mean, I've said this before, and I also literally said it at the start of the video. Air quotes, Obsidian Flames, Paldea, still in rotation, but ultimately, like, yes, is there technically always a possibility of something getting printed if it's in rotation? Yeah, of course, we've seen it happen before. But the likelihood as it gets later and later just continues to plummet. I mean, we've seen instances of sets that were literally still a year out from being rotated and they didn't get printed.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we've seen sets currently that have seen like little, I mean, Temporal Forces is a perfect example. Like, we didn't have any sort of Temporal Forces reprint whatsoever. And now maybe it was because they came out the gate and printed a lot of it because there wasn't really an issue. And so there just was a first initial wave that was a lot. And that's why it sat on distro for so long. I mean, you saw the same thing with Paradox Rift. I remember when I was going on to one of my distro pages, there was 16,000 to 17,000 boxes available in their warehouses. And that was just one distro. So, like, just understand, like, they can easily say, hey, we had a lot of this product available sitting forever. We have other sets that we know are going to be in way more of demand. Let's just let these ones kind of age and go up in price. And that's kind of it. So they have to pick and choose their battles here.
And I mean, guys, like, look, it's one thing to be angry and upset and get emotional. It's another thing to use all that anger and emotion to make your decisions, right? It's okay that you don't agree with how things are in the hobby or with Pokemon does, but if you're actually sitting there saying, well, the entire Scarlet Violet era, they've printed very little, if not any, reprints of booster boxes. And you're thinking to yourself, oh man, I'm going to be able to pick up all these sets on the reprint when they mass reprint booster boxes. You're insane. Like, you're actually delusional at this point. They just did another reprint. What'd they do? Surging Sparks, Twilight Masquerade, ETBs, Prismatic Evolutions, threw out freaking collection boxes, throwing out bundles. Like, they have a tendency. They're not reprinting the booster boxes. They're not reprinting large scale case reprints of anything through distributors. They're making collection boxes. They're making all these ancillary products. And understanding that should allow you to make better decisions on what to pick up going forward. But just to get angry about it and like huff and puff and not buy anything because you don't agree with it, I mean, that's fine, but it's not going to help you.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing, right? We're going to get these collection boxes for Prismatic. Loose packs are probably going to go down or stay the same. And they're still going to be a good pickup.
Packs
obviously right now, like with the price of the ETBs compared to the price of the loose packs, it still makes more sense to obviously get the ETBs in the sealed. Kind of like what we were talking about with 151 Forever. People are like, should you pick up the 151 booster bundles or the loose packs? And we said, go with the bundles because obviously there's going to be a premium on those at some point. And right now, if you can get them for the same, buy the sealed version, right? So we'll see what obviously ends up happening with the loose pack market when that comes out. But, you know, in the long term, when the ETBs, of course, move up and those boxes keep the price down, it might make sense to obviously pick up loose again. Which, speaking of bundles, do you watch 151 bundles?
Yeah, that's actually what I wanted to bring up right now. Hold on. I'm going to share the screen because Hamza also said something about that. So there it is. So Hamza said packs are packs at the end of the day. It's not true, right? It's just not true. Like, so here's 151 bundle displays, right? So they're 1725 lowest list, and they've been selling for it's like 1,400 were the last sold. So 1,400 divided by 10 is $140 a bundle, $14 a pack, right? But then you look at an ETB, right? The ETBs were never reprinted. They're extremely scarce, right? And so $400, right, divided by 9 packs is $44 a pack. And I promise you, look at the promo card, the non-stamp promo, the promo card is not worth that much. Therefore, the packs are just that much. Then you look at a regular bundle and you're like, oh, well, $90 divided by 6 packs, that's $15 a pack. And then you look at the loose packs and they're only going for, 12, maybe 13, 14, something like that. So it's like, depending on what product you're looking at, packs are not packs. That is why scarcity of the product matters. And that's why if they're not going to reprint large scale ETB cases for these specialty sets, if they're not going to reprint booster boxes and booster box cases for these regular sets, those are going to be the products that you want to have if you can get in early while they're still cheap. Because, packs are packs for openers, but packs are not packs for products.
I think the most important thing to mention though here is that the bundles were $60 just a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
So that's a 50% gain. Whereas the loose packs were going for around $10. Now they're going for 12. It's about a 20% gain. You're getting a way bigger return on your investment with the bundles.
Yeah. And I just feel like, and again, I'm going to be honest, I don't agree with it. I do not agree with all of these premiums, the bundle display premium, the case premium, like wrap it in more plastic and cardboard enough times and put stop tape or whatever you want, and it becomes more valuable. It's all stupid. I agree. But to get angry and emotional because I don't agree with something and let it affect my investing decisions, that's just stupid. You probably shouldn't be here. Like, that's just the way, you have to play with the rules the market gives you. And so knowing that there's a very small amount of actual sealed cases out there when it comes to ETB specialty sets or when it comes to booster boxes for regular sets tells me those are the products that I want to have. That's why I picked up so many Prismatic Evolutions ETB cases. That's why I pick up sealed cases every time I can of regular booster boxes, because it makes the most sense when it comes to scarcity, when it comes to what the market's willing to pay for that scarcity. There comes times when loose packs will make sense in the future, but when the margin's not that much, buy the sealed product. When the margin gets way out of whack, like 151 ETBs, then go ahead and go after the loose packs or the bundles or whatever. But you have to understand, man, scarcity plays more of a factor than just like, oh, well, it's still a pack. It still has the same cards in it. Yeah, that's fine for opening it and collecting it. It's not fine for people who want to collect and invest in the stuff, though. They want the sealed stuff.
Friendly reminder, in a couple minutes here, we're going to start answering your guys' questions. If you want to, in the chat, just in bold or in all caps, say question, followed up by what your question is. Just makes it easy for us to, of course, find it. Make sure also you leave a like, comment down below, subscribe. Really helps the YouTube channel. But yeah, no, I think that it'll be interesting to see what the plays are going to be as we go into the holiday season, because right now, we keep having this conversation. It feels like every single week, but like realistically, we just don't know what the Pokemon company is just currently going to focus on, other than what they've obviously said part of their statement, which is prismatic forward. And so far, it's only been prismatic that they've obviously given attention to. So who knows if we see something with Journey next or Destined or both at the same time, or who knows if we're going to see another wave of Mega come out and there's going to be a large supply of the non-enhanced comparable to the enhanced. Because I keep talking to my reps, and that's one thing that's very interesting. They don't really know yet. Like, I've talked to my reps and I'm like, hey guys, so I see you guys are soliciting for like enhanced boosters compared to non-enhanced. What's up with that? And they're like, dude, I couldn't tell you. Like, all I know is that you're going to get your non-enhanced, and at some point, enhanced is going to happen. I'm assuming it's not a part of the same wave, but we're just soliciting for it. And it's just like, what we're putting in for things we don't understand now? What's going on with that?
Non-enhanced has now had multiple sales at $350 a box. The enhanced box, it's pre-selling on TCG Player, multiple sales, not just listed. It's going over $300. So I know people thought we were crazy or shilling when we said it was going to be $300 to $350. Here we are.
Opinions change, guys. Like, as soon as information came out that this was an item that was, of course, going to be split waved, it was like, here we go. We know what happened last time. Split waves occurred. Prices of booster boxes ran up like crazy. Obviously, this is a different time with different MSRPs, so this might not sound crazy to you guys, but like battle styles, when it was the first like time we saw a real major like split wave, because we did technically have split waves and vivid voltage. Like that was the technical first ever one. But with battle styles, it had 4 different waves, which is like crazy, and mostly because of COVID. And when we saw that happen, the set itself was like the first one to ever come out in pre-sale at above MSRP, which was like crazy. Like that was a huge deal when that happened. And so with a set like battle styles, like and that was back when MSRP was 144, guys. Like, so different time. MSRP is much higher, market's much different. Like, so in the market that we're in currently, as soon as split waves were announced, it was like, dude, like it's cooked at this point.
Dude, split waves mixed with the 2 different boxes is like, again, like I said earlier, Pokemon's doing this. It's Pokemon's fault, guys. They are making this way too complicated. First, it was with black and white, making 2 different sets. Now they're making all these different products, right? They're printing all these like, oh, the bundle displays are going to be in the UK. Here, we're going to do the 25 count cases, making both products more scarce. Investors want them. They are the ones doing this. If they made a smaller blend of products and made a cohesive, same listings on every place across the globe in the UK and Australia, US, and they just printed more and more of a few different products, it wouldn't be as much of a problem. They are making it the problem. If you guys don't see that, you think it's all the evil investors' fault, you're crazy. The fact that Pokemon is doing a split wave with 2 different boxes that apparently nobody knows how much of either one they're going to get is insane.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what happens once the second wave comes out and how that's going to affect the actual market price of the box. But in the meantime,
I got to respond.
Take advantage while you can.
We got to respond to Guru in the chat. That's not always true, man.
It's funny. I almost said something about that.
Yeah, Surging Sparks was actually cheaper pre-release than what it was after release. So you would have actually missed out if you didn't order Surging Sparks before it got released.
Same with Lost Origin. Same with Brilliant Stars. Same with Evolving Skies. Same with Silver Tempest.
Yeah, pre-release is not always lower.
Evolving was pre-selling for 115 for about several months, and then at release, the week of, it ran up to 200. So like Evolving, as this might sound crazy to a lot of people that are newer to this hobby, but Evolving, it was at one point like sitting at $100 after the first major reprint for several months. Like it was sitting at like 105, 110. I think it was at 120 for about a full month. Like this is a set that, it was not selling crazy high on pre-sale. It wasn't until the week of release that you saw that huge major run up. And then after that, it got reprinted 2 weeks after the release. And then it just, stayed for 2 to 3 months in the like low 100s. And then from there, it finally eventually ran up after, the demand started to pick back up again for it. I mean, the Umbreon, guys, you could at one point buy the Umbreon for like $350. Like that's insane to think about, like looking back at it.
So guys, I had a live stream earlier this morning at 10 a.m. Central Time with my friend Steve. We actually, one of the things we did, we broke down Hasbro sales. Hasbro actually took a loss in the last quarter for everything except their Wizards of the Coast and online, like digital gaming. They were negative on every other area of the company except Wizards. Now, what did Wizards do recently that really kind of propelled Magic back and started killing it again? What did they do? This goes what Prem said. Pokemon needs to just print and use the entire state for U.S. printing facility. What did Wizards do? They cut the print runs. They made collector boxes with serialized cards that don't get reprinted. What did that do? That spurred confidence in the market. That spurred confidence in everyone wanting to collect for value. I know everyone thinks that all you do is you just print to the ground. You make all this money. If you kill the hobby and make no one confident in it and nothing have value, you lose long term. Your company goes away. Why do you think we have failed TCGs? Because companies did that. And so the answer is not always printing to the ground if you want a long-term kind of recipe for success. The fact that Magic actually took the foot off the throttle a little bit and now they're more successful than ever should tell you a little something.
I think the hard part is I don't see Pokemon being able to do it in the exact same way Magic does it. Because like Magic specifically still reprints obviously Commander decks. They still reprint play booster boxes. because they want to make sure competitive cards are affordable. But like Pokemon doesn't need to do that because they have a bunch of product that you can easily get. I mean, we've talked about this before, but like the cost of getting a competitive deck in Magic is so much higher than Pokemon. And so like ancillary wise, if you were to say, hey, let's do what Magic's doing, let's make a collector box of like Pokemon and then like make a standard box without these collector cards. I think the standard box, unless you find a way to like artificially raise the price of these competitive cards in the space and make the game more expensive to play, it's a very difficult argument to make that like Pokemon could ever go that direction. Because I mean, we're just talking hypothetical here, right? But like comparing the two, like I feel like Pokemon ultimately, I'd be surprised if they ever got away from just having more than just the singular box that they have.
Well, then you know, Prem said they Magic the Gathering prints 2 separate products, and they print play boosters. Yeah, what they also did, they kept the price the same, and they only put 30 packs in instead of 36. So they're printing less still. They're making you pay more for less. So there's less cards for the same amount.
It depends. It depends on the set. I mean, like obviously some of the boxes are more expensive and cheaper depending upon the set
Yeah, but
release.
distro price is the
It's
same.
it's so different. Because like IP sets obviously are going to be more expensive because of licensing rights, but like
no, dude, no. I'm saying they're the same price at distro, and you're getting less packs now per box.
yeah, it's hard to say because I mean, yes, you get less packs per box. Yeah, no, I 100%.
So they're charging more for less. That's how they make more money.
Let me see if I can compare it to one of the older sets though, because I know that
all I'm trying to say is printing to the ground is not always the answer. Like that's the whole premise here.
No, I get what you're saying. No, I 100% get what you're saying. I mean, I'm not mad at the reduction here, on what they did. I'm just trying to see if I can find the price difference because at least as far as I recall, they did adjust the price down actually for some of the.
Oh, it did. Okay.
For the play boxes. So, because like if we're looking at like, see, yeah, it's hard to say. It's different per set, so it's really all over the place.
Change the distro price per set.
Yeah, it's so different because like. Yeah.
Right.
No, I would say you're probably. Yeah, I'd say you're probably more right on this looking at it. It is more consistently the same price. Yeah, I'd say it's more consistently the same price. It looks like there's only a couple sets where it's been somewhat cheaper. And most of the time it's just the WPN pricing difference. So, but yeah. All right. You want to start getting into questions here?
Sure.
Also, just so that it doesn't get lost in the sauce here, Guru followed up. He said he meant after surging. So just so that he doesn't have his follow-up statement addressed. All right, cool. Do we already answer both of the? Oh no, we didn't. Tyrannus, thanks for the $5. Surging Spark ETB reprints, still waiting for last distro. What about Surging Spark boosters? So no, we're still waiting on the last boosters with my distro for Twilight. Surging ETBs, those haven't been reprinted yet from any of my distros. So I don't know what's going on with that. I don't know when any of that's coming. All of my distros that I've talked to have confirmed that Surging Spark ETBs are coming. So we'll just have to wait and see. As for my other distro that was waiting for like more booster boxes to come, he basically, my like rep told me that it was going to get cut drastically because they ended up not printing as much as they said they were going to, and it ended up getting cut short for the booster boxes. So at this point, because they're trying to just get the product out there, he said that they're, going to be significantly less. And I think we got those numbers like literally last week. And it was like originally going to be allocated 15 cases and it instead went to 3. Oh. So like it got cut like crazy. So I don't know if that's because Pokemon is just saying like, scrap it. We're just not going to print it because obviously we need to just move forward with this. I mean, we're obviously seeing an issue right now with their supply where they're having to do split waves again. So who knows specifically why they may. I mean, because like, I mean, you saw Alex's reaction there. That's not like, oh yeah, we're gonna give you like a couple cases less. It's like, no, we just scrapped 80% of what you were supposed to get originally. Like,
well, I just think the problem is like people online, like I don't think they read between the lines enough. Like, you know, you have like Danny Phantom makes a lot of content, huge store, gets huge allocations. Rudy Alpha Investments, huge allocations. You listen to these people and you hear the numbers and you don't understand that like if they're getting cut by that amount, that means like a regular store is getting like a few boxes, right? And so it's just like the fact that, you know, the big stores aren't getting any means like all of their local LGSs that maybe get a few cases, like they're just like smaller operations. They're getting like a couple boxes, guys, maybe a case. Like there's just not going to be product out there. I mean, put it in perspective. Like I said earlier, if Eli was getting 20 cases of ETBs, 20 cases for his entire program, his entire store, that's 180 packs. That's like a night of a stream on one streamer's stream of a set. Like I just don't.
wait, what's 180 packs?
That's like, I mean, I go through like one, put it this way, like prismatic evolutions, I'll go through like 300 packs in a stream. Like 20 ETB cases is 180 packs. Like,
oh, ETB cases. I'm so
like,
sorry. I for some reason thought you said booster box cases and I got thrown.
Like your entire allocation of something, like for your entire program, is like one person's stream one night. Like these are just like minuscule numbers.
Yeah.
There's no product out there.
It's not a lot. So we'll see obviously what my other distro gives me, but I'm not holding my breath here. We'll just leave it at that. I am not holding my breath. Oh my god, I need to scroll up. Man, this is the problem when I scroll down. ES is 30 a pack, 151 is 13 a pack. Paldean Face is 16 a pack. If you had $1,000, what are you buying? He said specifically to hold for 1 year.
Hold on, Sir Amanda's right. My bad. Sir Amanda's right. It's 90 per case. 90 per case. So 20 cases would be 1,800 packs.
Okay.
Little better, but still. I mean, you take
that takes out. I was like, the math on that didn't seem right. That sounded wrong. Yeah,
but still, like if you just go take like the top streamer on like Whatnot, Fanatics, eBay Live, TikTok, if you take like those, all those packs are gone in one night. Gone. And now that was a whole allocation. Now we're waiting for the next reprint that might come in months. Like the amount of packs getting open just cannot be satisfied by these minuscule prints. They have to kick it up, dude.
Yeah. What are you doing, Alex?
What are we doing? ES 30 a pack, 151, 13 a pack. Paldean Fate 16 a pack, 16 a pack. If you have $1,000 to spend today, are you going to hold one for a year? Which are you picking? Oh God. $151.
I'm going. Do we know where blooming stands? Like, is it still being put into big box retail stores right now?
I don't know.
Because I honestly am leaning more evolving here.
I could see that.
But the only reason why is because, like, if you guys remember, and I don't know if they're going to do this the same way, but like for Sea and Sky boxes for Crown Zenith, they were just relentlessly being put into stores for a very long time. And so for me, I don't see 151 pack prices, if we keep seeing more blooming waters come out, like making a huge like rise anytime soon for the loose packs. Like it went up, but that's on the assumption that there aren't any more being put out, or there are more being put out. Obviously, if there aren't any more, then I would agree with Alex. But I just think if we're talking about hold for 1 year, evolving just feels safer for that reason.
I'm just thinking about the catalyst of when things go out of rotation in April. I think that is going to cause a mass panic of people finally realizing I've lost my chance. It's now or never. And I think it's probably going to push 151 to 20 a pack very quickly.
Yeah, I see that happening if we don't get any more Blooming Waters products continue being pushed. If that's the case, then I 100% agree with you.
It is funny when panic sets in when reprint when out of rotation comes.
Yeah,
everyone always panic buys. Like they finally realize, oh, I was lied to. It's not going to MSRP.
I mean, I learned my lesson with Evolving Skies.
We all did.
Oh my gosh, cheeseburgers or chicken nuggets? That's an easy one. That's cheeseburgers for me, brother.
I answered the same way. I already answered in chat.
Don't get me wrong. Like, I love some good McDonald's chicken nuggets, but like cheeseburgers are probably my number one favorite food. Like, you know how you have a food that you're like, I could eat this every single day and not get sick of it? Yeah. That is me with cheeseburgers.
I think I could do that.
Be horrible for me, but I'd love it. What if they never reprinted Destined Rivals booster boxes, or they reprinted it and DR after it runs up to 455?
If they don't reprint it until it runs up, here's the problem. Reprint booster boxes or reprint anything. If they reprint booster boxes, it'll have a significant correction. If they don't reprint booster boxes, dude, it might keep running. I don't even know anymore. Pokemon has this weird tendency in Scarlet Violet era to not print booster boxes.
Well, I think people need to also understand Pokemon doesn't look at a box and be like, oh, the price is X amount, therefore we must reprint it. No, they need to plan these reprints like, from what we've been told, like 8, I want to say, to 10 months out. And so the price is way different at that point. So don't look at a price and be like, oh, they need to reprint it because it's at X price now. That is the fallacy that was fallen into so much.
But I mean, let's be honest. Like, you don't put out Destined Rivals and not think you're going to need reprints. Like, I would guess they have reprints scheduled.
No, I agree with that. I do agree with that. But I just want to still make that statement very clear.
Yeah.
Because the statement was after it runs up to 455, right?
Dude, we've been in the hobby a long time, both of us. Dude, can you remember another set in history where it has been hyped for as long as Destined Rivals was?
No, not even close.
That was so stupid, man. It was
not
like a
even
year
close.
out.
The only set that I can think of that was hyped up a lot in Sword and Shield was Celebrations.
Yeah.
But even then, Celebrations wasn't hyped up until a couple of months before the actual set was revealed for like the card list.
Yeah, Destined Rivals we started hearing like 10 months prior. It was so stupid.
It was hyped up when the leak of the IP being trademarked.
Trademark, yeah.
Like that was what caused hysteria. Not even, and that was before they did the teaser at Worlds.
Yep.
So like that's crazy, dude.
So they have to have that on the reprint block.
Oh yeah, 100%. There's no denying that it's going to get like a highly likely chance of being reprinted. Yeah, it's interesting with Worlds. There wasn't anything I feel like crazy. I mean, other than of course like some of the mega stuff that they discussed they were going to be putting out. There wasn't anything, at least in my opinion, that seems crazy. That is,
I do feel like last year's Worlds was. It seems like people were a lot more hyped about the leaks.
Yeah,
I will say that the partner Pokemon and and all that, I think that made people a lot more in a frenzy than this year's Worlds did.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, literally the only thing we know of is the megas that have been the new megas that have been recently revealed, and then we obviously have some sets that we know are coming out in English that are starting in Japan, like Inferno X and some of the cards that obviously have been leaked for that, and then some of the product that is going to be for Gengar. I think Gengar is going to be in a different set. I can't remember specifically.
For Japanese.
Yeah. But all right, next question. Where will 151 bundles sit, assuming no reprint or supply dump at the end of December?
$100? No, more than that.
Way more than that. It's already at 90.
Oh man, I don't know.
I think probably 140 is probably safe to say. Don't you think? Maybe 130?
Per bundle?
Dude, that's 3 months away. With the way in which this hobby moves, like saying that it's going to go up, we'll say conservatively, we'll say like 120. That is a 33% move in 3 months. That is not crazy in this market. So a range between a 33% to 50% move.
So basically, you're saying we should just go out and buy them all.
I don't know, dude. It's 151, man.
Yeah, who wants 33% gains in a few months?
It's crazy to think about, but am I wrong?
In the S&P instead, right?
Am I wrong though? Like, where do you think it'll be in 3 months?
Dude, it doesn't sound it sounds reasonable. It's just how stupid how it sounds reasonable, which gives me an idea of how unreasonable this hobby is. Let's say that. The fact that sounds realistic to me is crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
No FOMO.
Derek, what's up, Derek? Do you need a business license or LLC to receive product in your distribution program? And how many members do you have paying monthly currently? I'm a member. What's up, Derek? You didn't have to chat this. You could just PM to me that. But to answer the question, so in order to be in the program, the only like requirement that we have at this point, if you don't want to be charged tax, is that you just have a resale certificate, which you obviously are going to need to register within your state entity as a either sole prop or, you know, an LLC or whatever you decide to choose. And so outside of that, you can be in the program without having those things. It just obviously requires you to pay tax at that point. So for the longest time, we didn't have to do that, but then we hit next thresholds. And so certain states are obviously now requiring us to begin to collect that and notify them of the volume we're doing in the program. And then to answer your question, how many members do we have paying currently? I think it's like around 193, 194, like in the 190s somewhere. So for those of you guys that don't know, we had the program capped out, I want to say about 3 or 4 months ago at around 200. And then we added a new policy, which is we're not opening up any new spots and we're just closing spots as people leave because the product scarcity is still such a prevalent issue, even within the program, that we're just like, hey, we'd prefer to like have less spots and people can obviously be able to get access to more products. So especially too, because we have a rule in the program. If you've been in there for 6+ months, you get a 1 case minimum on Pokemon booster boxes. So it makes it to where right now it more than pays for itself, but obviously it becomes difficult for people to, you know, get higher allotments of allocations. And so trying to find a middle ground with that is what we're doing our best to do. And so not having any more people join after someone leaves is kind of where we're at with that.
Hey, have you seen Paldea Evolved?
Yeah, I mentioned that already. We talked about that for a little bit. Oh. Yeah, it's over 400.
Yeah.
It's crazy, dude.
There's one on TCG, there's one available at 420, then it jumps to 445, dude.
Yeah, dude.
Oh, remember. It was getting a reprint. You were supposed to sell. You were supposed to sell everything.
It did get a tiny one that did literally nothing to the price.
You were supposed to dump, dude.
Lesson last week about the con, you went to seeing a lot of Sea and Sky not selling. I sold all mine for prismatic ETB. Cost base is now 100 each. Have a total of 11. Now your thoughts?
Prismatic PC ETBs at $100? Oh, you got your cost basis down, like with the profits of the Sea and Sky? Dude, I love it. I would hold on to prismatic PC ETBs, dude. Put it this way. If 151 and Obsidian Flames are marching to $1,000 a PC ETB, you are crazy if you don't think Prismatic's going to head to the same place. I don't know the time frame, but it's going.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree. I mean, I don't know when you bought, but literally just within the past like week and a half or 2 weeks since we last talked about it, the PC ETBs have gone up again. So
yeah, I love
it. It's a great buy.
For sure. Great play.
Mason says, "See you all at $20 each for 151 by Christmas."
See, that would put the bundles at least 120, if not more, because they're sealed. So, dude, that 130 price point, if Mason's right, you might be right.
Super chat from Mike, another one. Thank you, Mike. People that want to sell at 400 might have sold already last time it ran.
Yeah, this can't be under or overstated enough. Is that this whole idea that everyone's investing in this stuff and everyone owns it? They don't, because they sell throughout like every point throughout the way. Like there are so many people that are reaching out selling collections right now, not just to me but others. Right now with Scarlet Violet, with Sword and Shield, and those people won't own it the next time another boom comes, right? And basically what happens is product either gets opened or it gets funneled up to the top. It's kind of like the whole idea when you hear like, rich people say, like you'll hear all these billionaires be like, look, if you redistributed the wealth and you give it enough generations, it's all going to work its way to the same place. And it's kind of true. It's just like, eventually enough people get paper hands or they get the gains they want, and the product all funnels its way up to the people who don't need to sell and won't sell. And it just gets sit in warehouses and it never comes to market, and it gets really scarce and the price goes up and away because none of the regular people own it anymore because they've already sold out. And so, yeah, man, I think by, once every price point, once boxes hit 300, 500, 700, 1,000, every time there's a selling scenario, and eventually no one has boxes left and only a few people do. And that's why at the end, nobody has them. Like you say, everyone invests in Pokemon. Well, it's true for a period of time, but over like a long period of time, most people sell. Most people get scared. They need the profits. They want to take it, whatever it is. They want to put it in something else, and they sell.
Yeah, no, I agree. Shout out to Chief Pokemon, $10. Thoughts on the Japanese market after the new 18.5% tariffs Japanese distros are charging, and no de minimis anymore? Will prices go up or down after Japanese products too expensive? You know what's funny? I think there's something also worth discussing too. Did you see the announcement that Japan made about any product valued at over $100 would no longer be allowed to get shipped to the States? Or was it received, or both? I can't remember the exact statement. Here, give me 2 seconds. I'm actually going to look this up again.
I haven't heard that.
You didn't hear that? So if I can actually pull it up. So it says on July 30th, the U.S. government issues an executive order titled Termination of De Minimis Treatment for All Countries. Under this executive order, starting August 29th, mail goods containing imported for personal use taxable mail will no longer be eligible for duty-free treatment, and tariffs will be imposed. It says starting on August 27th, in line with other nations' postal operations, we will temporarily suspend the acceptance of posted items from the United States that contain the following: individual gifts with a content value exceeding over $100 and goods intended for sale for consumption.
I don't know what that means.
It literally says exactly what it says. It says starting August 27th, in line with other nations' postal operations, we will temporarily suspend the acceptance of postal items in the United States that contain the following: individual gifts with a content value exceeding over $100 or goods intended for sales for consumption.
So obviously they're not going to be fall under gifts. So you think it's going to fall under sales for consumption, you're saying?
I mean, potentially. That's at least how I'm interpreting it. So but it's more specifically, just so that people are understanding this. This is stating items that are being accepted. So I don't think it's items outgoing necessarily, but I could be 100% wrong. But it says, in addition, we'll continue to accept letters, postcards, printed mail, and other postal small items containing gifts between individuals value with less than $100.
Oh, okay. Alfred said that's for their post office. So you can still ship through other means. Okay.
Yeah, but I'm just curious how that's going to necessarily affect, like, let's say the singles market.
Honestly, here's the problem, guys. And this is not me being Alex hates Japanese, all that stupid stuff. The more expensive Japanese gets, the less attractive it gets. There are people out there that truly love Japanese and that's their first choice. There are a whole other group of people out there who just really open Japanese because it's cheaper than English. So they just want to open something. So they just like kind of like go to Japanese for the time being until they can get English cheaper. The more expensive Japanese gets, the closer it creeps up to English, the less attractive it becomes. So the more it costs to actually ship it here and get it landed, I would say it's going to hurt overall sales, in my opinion.
Yeah. Dude, that's just crazy. Like, it'll be interesting to see how long this tariff war lasts and how that's going to play into the Japanese market. But yeah.
Well, what about Chinese, dude? Chinese is, I think,
Chinese is going crazy right now.
I think Chinese is more attractive than Japanese at this point because of the exclusive cards.
Yeah.
Do you see that one card sell for over $100,000?
Yes.
The Chinese Mew. What's it from, Eli?
I can't remember what the actual name of the thing itself is.
Anywhere, it's sold for over $100 and something thousand already.
Yeah.
Sir verified. I see what you're saying. In Europe, Paldea's 240 euros or whatever. Yeah, it's always like that. Like all markets have different prices, but they're not correlated, right? I remember like back during Sword and Shield, people were like, well, over here, Brilliant Stars and Lost Origins sold out at Pokemon Center, but we have Chilling and Fusion, and we're like, well, over here in the US, Chilling and Fusion are sold out, but we have Brilliant and Lost, and everyone was trying to like make these plays back and forth. The two markets don't correlate. Like, yeah, if you can find a way to like make profits, kind of shipping it, and after tariffs and shipping, you make some money for sure, but it doesn't affect the market price of the US because something's different somewhere else.
Can you do me a favor? Can you follow up and ask them where that $280 USD is coming from, or the 240 euros? Like, is that specifically on like TCG Player? Where are you getting this number from? I guess.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because for me personally, like, I'm going to be in Europe at the end of this year. I'm going to take a little trip. So I'm just saying, like, I didn't even think about that because I went to Italy in March, for those of you guys that remember. I didn't even think about arbitraging because, that's not why I was in Italy. But hey, if you've got an extra suitcase, I mean, why not make a couple extra bucks?
It is funny. It's like the last thing on my mind on vacation is Pokemon. Like, people ask me that, like, did you do this or that? I'm just like, dude, I wasn't even thinking about Pokemon when I was on vacation. I'm just chilling,
I mean, people were like, oh, did you go to all the shops and like check out when you were in Japan, the singles selection they had? And honestly, dude, I was a little underwhelmed because I was like, dude, these prices are like more expensive than what I can buy the cards for in the States.
He said it's their TCG Player.
Oh, it's their TCG Player. Interesting.
Card market, maybe? Is that what it is?
Well, I know that I think I can't remember what the name of it is, but I know there is a specific like TCG Player that does ship out of Italy. I think
maybe you
can't remember
how
what it's
you
called.
do that.
Yeah.
Where would you have it shipped to? Your hotel?
My hotel. No, 100%.
Yeah, you actually would.
Why not? I mean, seriously. Use that address. Oh wait, we already answered that question. All right, next question.
Not bad. Yeah, Sir Verified, thank you. Eli, thanks you much.
Dude, I mean, honestly, if you think about it, you're saying, okay, I mean, obviously the prices aren't going to be the same in November when I leave, but like if I were to go to Europe and be like, hey, let me use my hotel's address for the week, and I just have them ship the product, and there's a $100 price discrepancy, that's a huge, I mean, don't tell me you wouldn't buy that all day, right?
Might have to start taking trips to Europe.
Yeah, right. Question, given USD can be counterfeit, do you think it is possible that HQ counterfeiting is happening, or is otherwise a big risk to the confidence in Poke, or are good enough countermeasures in place?
Dude, me and my friend talk about this every day about Chinese. Like, I want to know what's going on with Chinese. Like, is it like all done through Pokemon Company? If it is, like, we all know China doesn't really care about copyright infringement. They don't really care about copyright laws in any country. Like, what's to stop Chinese in like, years being like, hey, maybe we'll print some more of these Gengar Pikachus and give them to our friends and family. Like what's that? Like, we'll print some of this stuff and give it out. Like, I mean, what's going to stop Chinese Pokemon from being printed and copyrights being, taken? I don't know. Maybe there's just that strong agreements with Pokemon. I don't know, but it's definitely something that needs to be talked about.
Well, because even though counterfeiting is, or not counterfeiting, but like IP licensing rights aren't as prevalent, contractual obligations in China for manufacturing is still extremely like airtight.
Is it?
Like, yeah, 100%. Because I know specifically that like they have certain contracts that you can make with manufacturers for like supply products where if you aren't making them within like a certain range of what your expected quality is, like the contract can be null and void, and they could be serious legal ramifications for the manufacturer enforced by the CCP.
Interesting.
Yeah, so IPs not really a big thing, but manufacturing rights that could be easily negotiated within the contract, which obviously would still hold up in court. So it is weird to think about, but yeah.
Yeah, and then Alfred says I guess they print them in Japan. Yeah, I just don't know how any of that works. I'm just like thinking about it like, I mean, gosh, man, like you hear everyone talk about it. Like I know like people talk about it on CNBC how just like, well, China doesn't really care about any of the rules. They just kind of they'll just kind of take anything they want and use it. So it's just like, what's to stop them from doing the same thing with Pokemon? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
151 ETBs and Evolving Skies ETBs are nearly the same price. With 151 outpacing it, do you see a pattern continuing in the future, and why?
Here's the thing. It's weird that Paldea and Fates hasn't had a pattern similar. I mean, just because like 151, Paldea and Fates, they didn't have like massive reprints of ETBs, but they're not as much of a premium to their bundles as 151 is, or their packs as 151 is. So, but with 151 outpacing Evolving Skies, yeah, it could just be 151, just that iconic and that much of an outlier that it just keeps going. I don't know.
I mean,
either that or it's ran a little too much right now and so overvalued and it's going to slow down a bit while the other things catch up. I don't know.
I was about to say, I mean, you got Evolving going for 400. So we're talking like, what would that be divided by 8? Is that right? You're paying $50 a pack? Wow. Dang, that's crazy. And what? The boosters are like 2,500 at this point? I mean, wow, that's not a huge spread. You're paying 69.4 per pack with the booster boxes compared to 50 in ETB. It's not a big spread like I usually would expect. Yeah, no, I was trying to maybe make an argument saying that the Evolving Skies might be, undervalued, but that's not really that big of a spread difference when you do the math for it. So yeah, I think that might be the case, I guess, with 151 just continuing to outpace it. But yeah, no, I agree with Alex as far as it goes, with the potential for it just to be such an iconic set that it's just going to do its thing.
Dude, the 151 PCTB being $1,000 is just wonky.
Yeah. Dude, no, this is crazy.
Hey, and we always have the same thing to say. Should have bought more.
Yeah, always, dude. Seriously.
No one ever said in Pokemon, I wish I wouldn't have bought.
Eli, you're gonna have Riftbound in your shop. We're gonna try to get Riftbound. So we're gonna be in the process of applying for Riftbounds, One Piece, Union Arena, and a bunch of other TCGs that we're gonna try and carry in the shop. So that is our big plan, because we just finished our like expansion of the shop. I say finished, but it's not truly finished yet. But the major construction portion has been completed, and so we have a bunch of like playable space now, to where we feel confident being able to run larger scale events. It's nice. We were at most able to fit like around a little over 30 people, and that was including getting like fold out tables that we'd have to put near the front where it would almost like impede once you came into the shop. And now we've got like 54 chairs set up, so we like include, and it looks very nice. So I'm excited to be pursuing other TCGs for obviously play programs.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Um,
You got Gundam up and going yet?
Dude, that's another one we're gonna go for. We do sell Gundam in shop, and we're looking at applying for Gundam. So my guy that I just appointed to be in charge of like running events and like doing all of that, he's out of town until I think tomorrow, or yeah, I think he gets back tomorrow. And then when he gets back, we're gonna sit down together and we're gonna do all the applications.
Nice.
All right. When the Federal Reserve stops printing money and hiring interest rates. Oh, I see what he means. And they make it harder to borrow money. Do you think we will go bearish again in this hobby?
Hiring interest rates.
I think he means to say raising interest rates.
That's what I'm saying. Well,
I see that extremely unlikely.
They're going to lower. They're going to be lower.
Yeah, they're not going to raise it. I mean, the last like Fed Watch report, I think they were talking about how the market was saying there was like a 90% chance that rates were going to get cut.
Yeah, I mean, they even kind of alluded to that last conference. Like, I don't think rates are going up.
Yeah, and then also you have to think about too, like Jerome is probably going to get replaced next year.
It's looking that way.
Yeah, and Trump has like made it very clear that he wants an appointed Fed chair that's going to be much more aggressive when it comes to their rate cuts. So I don't see that happening. Either way, even if that was the case and they did for some reason decide to raise rates, I don't think that's really going to change much.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't see it happening, man. Like, I think they're definitely gonna be cutting rates here eventually.
I mean, it's one of these things where they have in their, doctrine, a duty to obviously find a balance between keeping inflation stable while also keeping unemployment rate low. They had a terrible jobs report. And so with that being said, they have to obviously address that. And that needs to be done through cutting rates, right? Now, will that potentially be at the expense of course, inflation increasing? Most likely. But also at the exact same time, like we've been being told inflation isn't going to be transitory for the past year and a half, which was a complete load of BS. And obviously it has been. Like getting to a 2.1% target just feels like such an absolute pipe dream since we were dumping so much money into this economy with COVID and everything with the stimulus checks. Like it's, yeah, I think unemployment is what's more important now at this point, because you can keep rolling the debt, but as soon as people start losing jobs is when people stop getting elected.
It's true.
All right. Next question. With the reveal of the Mega Evolution booster box having no box art, do you think this is an attempt from Pokemon to take collectability away from booster boxes?
Why would they want to do that? I don't know. That's funny. I haven't even thought about that. It's funny.
I didn't even know that. To consider.
Do they want to take collectability away from booster boxes?
I doubt it. No. Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, even then, I don't think it changes anything. I mean, it's crazy to think about. Like, although art design is definitely something that matters when it comes to sealed product, I think people are going to look at it and they're not going to care. Just in the current landscape of the market, at least.
Hey, man, I remember when Surging Sparks came out, and I made a video that it really kind of pissed a lot of people off. But I basically said that nothing matters. I said the art doesn't matter. I said Pokemon could print Pokemon on a pet rock or something and people would buy it right now. And I just think we're still in that state. I don't think anything really matters. I think there's not enough to go around. People want it and they're going to buy it.
I mean, I don't see this as being any different than Journey. Like, I know that might be a hot take, but like, sure, Journey obviously had like with their enhanced a picture of like the Zoroark and like N on it.
Did we just lose Eli? We lost Eli, guys. He's gone. Eli's gone. I took over
I'm
the stream.
dumb. I'm dumb. I'm sorry.
Dude, the Cabal got you, I thought.
Dude, I was on TCG Player and I clicked the back button and I accidentally swapped to StreamYard and clicked the back button exiting the studio.
Journey Illuminati said, "Not today."
Yeah. So anyway, the point I was trying to get to was, yes, there is the picture of the Zoroark and the Lord N on the front, but if you look at the backdrop of that, it's also completely blank. It's just a white box.
Yeah,
and
Journey's boring.
It's the exact same thing here, except of course it just says Mega Evolution on the front. So I wouldn't be surprised if it continued to be this kind of trend moving forward, where it's got like a kind of weird, like, blank backdrop to it. I don't know.
Pokemon's just further asserting its dominance over all the hobbies. Like, we can sell more than you without printing anything on our boxes.
Yeah. I mean, honestly.
Mason said I was about to tag in.
Oh man, guys, I am so sorry. I'm gonna miss some questions because it deleted a lot of the older messages when I left. Well, we're wrapping up here anyway, so we'll do 2 more questions, then we'll get on out. All right, so I'm just going from the top from what I can see. Thoughts on the Moltres promo stamp for DR, more SIRs becoming promos with stamps?
Dude, I think, again, what did we say earlier about Pokemon intentionally wanting the market to be crazy? Dude, this is insanity that they were doing this. Taking one of the top cards and making it into a stamp promo. I feel like they won't stop until there's literally people losing their lives fighting over cards and products in Costco. I feel like that's the point we're at, dude.
Yeah.
How are you going to, dude? Okay. I know you could say, well, Alex, they make these decisions way in the future. Dude, they know when they're making a set and they're putting a certain amount of SIRs in it, they know that they're going to be popular. You're not going to tell me they didn't know Moltres' freaking SIR wasn't going to be super popular. Making that into a freaking collection box, it's like, dude, in this market right now, that's so crazy. That is so crazy to me. Putting Charizard and Gengar in a set, are you insane?
Yeah.
Like, do you want people to lose their lives fighting over this?
Pokemon definitely knows what they're doing right now. Man. They understand, as crazy as it sounds, that adding a little stamp, it makes a difference.
Oh, don't get me started on the stamps. Don't get me started on the importance of stamps in your life.
Hear me out, Alex. Imagine a box that is fully wrapped in stop tape. And just inside of it is just a bunch of Pokemon cards, and the only difference is that they have stamps on them.
Dude, I'm so like further ahead than everybody. Like, I'm thinking like big brain. I've actually started to invest in rolls of stop tape. I've invested in cardboard boxes.
Genius.
And I even have like a stamper.
This guy.
Actual stamp pad. I got it all, dude. I'm gonna make my own stop tape boxes and stamps. I'm gonna take a bunch of common, uncommon cards. I'm just gonna stamp them.
Is it safe to say you're living in 2050 right now at this point, Alex?
Pretty much. Like, dude, I'm just taking a Pokemon stamp. I'm just going to take every card I can own. I'm just going to start stamping it.
Dude, that's just easy money right there. Free tendies.
And then, see, but I'm even smarter than Pokemon. At the bottom, I'm going to put a number on it. I'm going to serialize.
Yeah, right. Start making custom serialized cards.
Stamp a 1 out of 100.
All right, last question, then we'll get out of here. If Gen 10 comes out with no booster box reprints, does your game plan change, and what sets are you focusing on?
What? Comes out with no booster box reprints? What does that mean?
So, hypothetically speaking, the next generation that we get, right, which we don't know what that is. All we know is it's going to be located in Greece. If they were to come out with that set and they were to announce no reprints are coming for the set period, how would that change your strategy?
Dude, sky's the limit. I mean, you guys know the only reason, put it this way, you're seeing it with Magic the Gathering. You see these boxes, these collector boxes going to $1,000 immediately. The only thing that keeps Pokemon in relatively in some kind of normalized price point is the threat of reprints. If you remove the threat of reprints, sky's the limit. Destined Rival, I said it before, in a year, Destined Rivals would be $1,000 a box. If Pokemon came out and made a statement, we are not in no way, shape, or form reprinting a Destined Rivals booster box. When you take away the fear that investors have that it might get reprinted and tell them it's not going to happen, dude, everyone's going to fight for the boxes. They're not going to let it go. They're going to hold on to them like vice grips. So if that ever happened, I would load up on all the boxes that I possibly could right at release. I'd spend as much of my bankroll that I possibly could. I would store them away and I would never let them go until years and years in the future. That's what I would do with no booster box reprints.
I mean, Final Fantasy, it was pre-selling for a while at 600 and people were like, nope, this is insane. Price is too expensive. It's going to come down. Like, I'll just wait and buy it. And guess what? It's serialized product that is not going to, of course, get reprinted again because it is serialized product. And as the Chocobo continued to be available for people to open, because there was 77 of them and not all of them had been pulled, all of a sudden you started to see more and more people be like, oh, I have a chance of pulling this Chocobo. And then people continue to open. And before you knew it, the price ran up to over $1,000 the week after release. So everyone that was like 600 is too much, I'm going to wait. Guess what? It's now going for almost 1,400. So you are like completely missing out on the understanding that if people know it's not going to get reprinted because of things like serialized cards, your expectation is that things are just going to continue to go up from there. And yeah, you'll have your small moves, right? Like up and down, like, you know, Final Fantasy, obviously it dropped down to 1,300. So it made $100 move and now it's at right around 1,350. So it's $50 or maybe $100 low from its all-time high for that specific set. But it's not going to make any sort of like insane drop off of any more supply coming on the market because it's just literally not going to happen. So Spider-Man and obviously Avatar pre-selling for over $1,000 because people already now are recognizing that the same exact thing is going to happen with these two sets. So that's exactly how it would just go out with Pokemon. People just are like, hey, this is it. This is the price I'm going to buy it at. Might as well get it now before it just skyrockets up.
I have a question for you, dude. Earlier you said like Pokemon wouldn't work with Magic's game plan or whatever.
Yeah.
How is it that Pokemon is kind of like known to have a higher collector fan like base than Magic? Magic's more of a player base, like kind of agreed upon. Why wouldn't it work in Pokemon having a collectible item and then like a mass produced item like a play box?
Because the purpose of the play boxes in Magic is to keep singles more affordable for the player base, and Pokemon already has a very affordable player base, so there's no need for Pokemon to do that because no one would buy the product.
But it doesn't have a high-end collector base is what I'm saying.
Magic doesn't is what you're saying?
No, Pokemon doesn't.
It doesn't have a high-end
like they don't like, you know, like until now you're starting to get some of the cards like hold some kind of value, but like every other TCG has cards like god tier rarities where they're in the thousands, where Pokemon never does. Like, don't you think collectors would enjoy a product where there was like it was scarce and you had high value things and it didn't get reprints?
I mean, don't get me wrong. Could you come out with an item that has like serialized product and separate that from an item that doesn't have serialized, but it's the exact same? So like here's what I'll say. I'll say this just to make my point understood. If you took all the big hits and you remove them from the main sets and put them in collector boxes and then just left everything else to just be play cards, it's not going to work in Pokemon. However, if you took, let's say, a mega box the same way that it is currently, and then you were to create an alternative mega box that would, in addition, add serialized cards, I feel like, of course, there could be a like possibility of that working, but it's hard to say for certain because I
mean, think about it. Then you wouldn't have any of like the people who complain right now about things being too expensive because that other box would likely be very, very cheap. The cards would be cheap. Players would be happy. Pack openers would be happy. You're like casuals who want to open for their kids and all that. But then you would also have a box that everyone wants to hold value, that all the gamblers want to open and try to pull those big hits that, you know, is going to remain valuable over time. People that want to hold it and invest in it. I think it'd be the best of both worlds. It would actually lower the price of entry on Pokemon because it would bring the regular boxes way down because they wouldn't be sought after by collectors.
Also, Alfred said they haven't announced serialized in Spider-Man and Avatar. I know that, but I guess my point that I'm articulating is even if they didn't, the likelihood of reprints is very unlikely. I mean, we obviously didn't get serialized for Bloomborough collectors. That didn't obviously ever happen. Dustmorn didn't get serialized. That obviously didn't happen. So, I mean, collectors are just not getting reprinted. But anyway, it's hard because I think for me, it's hard to know how the hobby is going to react because at least in my mind, how I envision this space being is they always want the cream of the crop, right? If you really look at it, the history of Pokemon, when full arts were the main chase, full arts were a big deal. Then rainbows became the main chase, and you still had those sets that had full arts, but they went for significantly less than the rainbows did.
Yeah.
And then in that exact same, theory, you had alternate arts be the big chase, and you could still pull rainbows and you could still pull full arts, but they were way significantly less. So it's like this thing where, and maybe this is a good analogy, but it's like technology, right? Like every year it's ever evolving. And so because of that, the previous year, you could have something that is not super far off from its performance that current year, but it's going to be 50% cheaper because it's not the next best, greatest thing, right? Yeah. And so in my mind, if you were to just do that and you were to have a set that, let's just say, doesn't have serialized, but it has a bunch of amazing alternate art cards, but it doesn't have serialized, and you have a completely alternative product that does have serialized, you could start to see a weird situation where all of a sudden alternate art cards are not nearly as valuable because people are not wanting them as much and they're not as in demand because everyone instead wants these new, more premium serialized cards. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like that's at least in my mind how I could see it potentially playing out, because that's just how it's kind of played out historically.
But then wouldn't that mean the boxes would then be cheap for everyone to open just to have cards?
Yeah, but
and then when people complained, you could say, well, they are available.
Yeah. I mean, it's true. But then the question starts to get into the fact of the matter, which is, does Pokemon need to do this though in order to help kind of find balance in the market? Because
they may.
Because ultimately I feel like that just exacerbates the issue. Because now you all of a sudden have a product that is going to be significantly, I mean, because here's the thing with Magic right now, right? Like Magic, when it comes to their play boxes, we're finally seeing play boxes specifically like have margins. Yeah. And so like historically speaking, especially thanks to Amazon dumps, set and draft boxes were just absolute bricks, and you were like not making anything off of it. Like you might as well not even buy it from distro, right? And so just now finally we're seeing some margin on it, and I'm not talking Pokemon margin. I'm talking like 30% margin. Like, oh, I bought the box for 95, I can sell it for 120, right? And so the fact that that's where we are in this landscape, that just doesn't seem like it's very likely to be as successful in that regard, because it's currently in Magic not extraordinarily successful in its current state. And that's also including the fact that there's way more competitively viable cards in these play boxes comparable to if they were to do the exact same thing with Pokemon. Because at least you're going to have a floor of knowing like, hey, I might not get the main chase, but I could pull a $10 fetch land that's going to obviously make it worth it, and I can do it 4 times in a box. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think, I don't know. It just seems like it make it a way for like to introduce serialized cards or like a higher rarity, like 1 per palette card or something in the collectors, and maybe like some different arts or something, but still have, high rarities and still have good pulls in the other boxes. But that way they'd be a lot cheaper for players and like regular consumers and parents and stuff to find for their kids. And, all the ancillary products in stores and everything in Targets and Walmarts would all be the regular packs. And then like, the high end stuff would be like kind of exclusive to like hobby shops and all that. I don't know. It seems like it might be something.
I think what you're saying is possible, but you can't gut the boxes in the same way like they do with the play boxes for Magic. Because Magic, they got a crap ton of it, where it's like, if you want the Halo foils, you're not going to get them, period. Right? If you want the serialized, that's fine. Like keeping it to where you have those specialized products that only get serialized, but you still have to allow the other foil types to be available to pull in the standard Pokemon boxes. Otherwise, I
Yeah.
think it would fail. So it's more or less like the only distinguishable difference would have to be specifically serialized. Then I feel like you could do that and it could somewhat be successful. But I mean, this is so theoretical.
Yeah. Yeah.
And execution would really know the answer at that point.
No, it's just interesting to talk about. It's interesting to see how they're gonna play this out, you know.
Yeah. Oh, Pokemon, here we go.
I mean, I think even me and you can say $300 a box is not healthy.
No, not at all. Not at all. I mean, I've said it many times before. I think that I know people might not like this answer, but I think that you're going to not find a extraordinarily healthy market until they find a way to allow storefronts to build spend again. And however you go about doing that, you can obviously find a creative way to go about it. But until then, you're going to find an imbalanced market because even the worst card shops that should be out of business because they're terrible at business or terrible with their business practices or customer service or whatever are going to stick around right now because it is nearly impossible to fail in this current market if you're getting allocations.
Yeah.
So you got to find a way, as harsh as this sounds, but if you want a obviously healthy market, to make the businesses that deserve to fail, and then the ones that deserve to shine. But right now you can't do that.
Yeah, I think there's probably like a good range there, probably anywhere from like maybe 20-25% either way around MSRP, like maybe anywhere from like 130, 140 up to like $200 a box. Anywhere in that range is probably healthy. A little more than MSRP, a little under, but like this far above is unhealthy. $80, $90 a box, that's equally unhealthy. I think they just have to find a way to get back in that range.
I mean, this sounds like something that might be an extremely big hot take, but like historically speaking, obviously the only way product is sat for Pokemon has been because of like the margins not being there. Yeah. And obviously, you know, people want to have their cake and eat it too. They want to be able to have product available while also getting margins. I feel like if you really think about it, the only realistic way that happens is if you somehow find a way to incorporate the requirement to pick up certain low demand products or like garbage product in exchange for just getting product allocations, period, which would suck and people might not like that. But ultimately, if you kind of put that as like a barrier, then all of a sudden, a lot of people are now going to have to be like doing the math. Okay, can I handle picking up this much product? Because now I have this other low demand product that I have to consider on how I'm going to move that. Like that's the only real like kind of way I can theorize it working while also being high margins. Because ultimately, this is exactly what you're seeing being done in sports cards right now. Or if you want good product from sports cards, you got to pick up a bunch of garbage in order to get access to the good stuff.
Well, they're going to have, honestly, dude, they're going to have to do something like that because there's very little barrier to entry. Like, oh, I can just go find a shop, open up shop, you know, put some shelves and signage, and then I can apply and get product that I can sell at 200% margins. Like, it's ridiculous. Of course, anyone can do that. There has to be a barrier to entry, you know, like. And then with Horizon saying like buy a MetaZoo box for $15 or a modern Pokemon for $300, I wonder what the difference in production cost is. It doesn't matter what the differences in production cost. It's like saying I can go buy a T-shirt at Walmart or I can buy another one from Louis Vuitton. Like it doesn't matter. They built an IP that people prefer, that people desire, and so that's why it's worth more. The production cost is irrelevant.
Yeah, 100% agree.
Hey, you got another super chat.
We got a super chat. We got to do this super chat and then we can head out. Palladium Fates are prismatic. Evolution's the long run. Actual scrap that. Doesn't matter. Buy it all. They all go up. Cheers, gents. Fair. I mean, obviously I'm taking prismatic, but no, I agree with you. I don't think you can go wrong with either. But all right, you ready to get out of here, Alex?
Sure, man.
Hey, thank you guys all so much for stopping by. One thing I will announce is that I will be unavailable to stream on this upcoming Monday. I'm actually going to be on a flight during our regular stream times. I'll discuss with Alex about potentially finding a day in which I'll be able to stream with you guys, maybe on like a Tuesday or a Wednesday. So we can try and see about making that up. later next week. So, but just don't anticipate next Monday that we'll have a stream. So hopefully we can have a makeup day a couple days after, but we'll keep everyone posted on that. But until then, everyone, hopefully you guys enjoyed the content. Make sure to leave a like, comment down below, subscribe, really helps the channel out. Obviously, as always, check Alex and his content out. Link is down in the description below. And lastly, I hope you guys all have a wonderful rest of your holiday. Everyone, as far as I know, has today off. So hopefully you guys get to enjoy the fun free day for Monday. And until then, we will see you all on next stream. Peace.
Later.